right. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Glenn Morrell. I am the Regional Planning and Program Manager for New York State DOT's Raise 10 office in Hauppauge, which is where we are today. I'm also the Secretary to the Nassau Suffolk Transportation Coordinating Committee, or TCC. I will now call roll by agency for today's Executive Committee meeting. Principal voting members present should state their names. I do have all required signed proxy letters from the principals. First, the voting members. Nassau County, Joe Como. Okay, thank you, Joe. Suffolk County,
Bernard Tyson.
all right. Metropolitan Transportation Authority. That's remote.
Yeah.
Okay, she's present.
Not yet.
And New York State Department of Transportation is myself. Now the advisory members, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. No. New York State Department of Environment and Conservation. Federal Transit Administration. Federal Highway Administration. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, under the current Nassau-Suffolk TCC operating procedures, we have a quorum for today's meeting. I'd now like to turn the meeting over to Joe Cuomo, representing Nassau-Suffolk TCC Chair Bruce Blakeman.
Thank you, Glenn. Welcome to this morning's meeting. My name is Joe Como, and I'm a planner with Nassau County Department of Public Works. I'm representing County Executive Bruce Blakeman for today's Nassau-Suffolk TCC Chair. We have an ambitious agenda for today's meeting, so we will proceed to the next agenda item. I will ask Mary Byrne to give us an overview of the development of the 2023-2027 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Byrne. I am the Staff Director for the Nassau Suffolk Transportation Coordinating Committee. I will give an overview of the development of the Federal Fiscal Years 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. The NYMTC public participation procedures require a TIP, Regional Transportation Plan, or RTP, and related transportation conformity determinations to be publicly reviewed. The main public review period for the proposed Federal Fiscal Year 2023 to 2027 TIP was held from July 20th through August 18th of this year. Additionally, the public notice for this meeting issued on August 24th indicated that comments would be accepted on the TIP up to the time of this meeting. Let me tell you a little bit about NYMTC. We are a metropolitan planning organization for New York City, Long Island, and Lower Hudson Valley. In order to receive federal transportation and planning funds, federal regulations require that each urbanized area within a population of 50,000 or greater must have a planning process. In the New York City urbanized area, implementing this transportation planning process is the responsibility of the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council. This is NYMTC's 10-county planning area, which is home to approximately 13.2 million people. This is approximately 65% of New York State's population and 4% of the population of the nation. Our planning area covers approximately 2,440 square miles. As you can see, this planning area is divided into sub-regional areas. This allows us to better respond to local needs. We are currently located within the Nassau-Suffolk area, and the Nassau-Suffolk TCC assists their members with transportation planning. The other areas are served by the Mid-Hudson South TCC and the New York City TCC. NYMTC is a regional council comprised of 9 voting and 7 advisory members. The voting members include the county executives of the 5 suburban counties of Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, and Nassau and Suffolk counties. The Commissioner of New York City Department of Transportation and the Director of its Department of City Planning. The Commissioner of the State Department of Transportation and the Chief Executive Officer of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. And advisory members include the Chief Executive Officer of the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey Transit, and the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, and the regional or division directors of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, and the United States Environmental Protection Agency. This slide demonstrates the continuing cooperative and comprehensive planning process required for receipt of federal transportation funding. Our mandated planning products include a long-range regional transportation plan with a minimum of 20 years. This is also known as the plan. A medium-range transportation improvement program with a minimum of 4 years, and this is known as the TIP. An annual Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, which is 1 year. A congestion management process. Since NYMTC's planning area is designated as a transportation management area, or a TMA. A transportation conformity determination containing a regional emissions analysis. Since NYMTC's planning area includes all or part of several air quality, non-attainment, or maintenance areas under the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990, and a periodically updated public involvement plan. We are currently working in the portion of the planning process that's circled in red. The TIP is an enabling document, and the funds appropriated by Congress and programs by NYMTC members represent collective decision-making of our Metropolitan Planning Organization. NYMTC's voting members have selected projects based on the needs and goals identified in its planning process. The first 4 years of the TIP matches the State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP, which enables the obligation and eventual federal reimbursement of funds encumbered by our members. This includes transit projects, roadway and bridge projects, bicycle and pedestrian projects, safety projects, system and demand management projects, and operating and maintenance projects. A new TIP is usually developed every 2 to 3 years, and this is an enormous effort, and it can take as much as an entire year to develop and construct a new TIP. This effort requires the coordination of many agencies. Development cycles are coordinated with the statewide TIP or STIP development schedule and with our sister MPOs. TIP development cycles include air quality analysis to ensure the projects selected do not violate the National Ambient Air Quality Standards under the Clean Air Act. And during each cycle, existing projects are updated, new projects are programmed, and new fiscal years are added. Our last TIP development cycle occurred for the federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024. Here we illustrate the current TIP versus the proposed TIP. As you can see, we are in the 3rd year of the existing TIP. Our new TIP will begin in the 4th year of the current TIP, and it will replace that TIP. This will be the start of a new 5-year transportation program beginning compiled by the members to address our region's future transportation needs. This slide shows a listing of the current federal funding programs contained within the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act, which was signed into law on November 15, 2021. The funding programs shown here are Title 23 funding programs, which are administered by FHWA. Each funding program has its own purpose and eligibility requirements. On the right-hand side, you can see the funding levels increased over the FAST Act levels. The FAST Act was the predecessor to EJA, or IIJA, or the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act, and the FAST Act dates back to 2015. So I'll give you a moment to look at those. Okay. Here we have the Title 49 funding programs, which are administered by FDA. Again, each funding program has its own purpose and eligibility requirements. Overall funding level increases over the FAST Act levels are shown in yellow on the lower right side of the screen. To fund NYMTC programs, the state, acting through the New York State Department of Transportation, divides each formula of funds between allocable and non-allocable categories. The state also creates funding targets for each of the federal fund sources, which are used as parameters to guide our program building efforts. Allocable funding targets are identified for each region, while non-allocable funding is managed centrally by the state in conjunction with the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The funding or planning targets for the proposed Federal Fiscal 23 to 27 TIP are set with the following assumptions. Federal authorizations for each funding program are set by the EJA through September 30th of 2026. Assumed New York State funding levels for the Federal Fiscal 22 through 26 are derived from EJA authorizations. And New York State DOT uses these assumed funding levels to develop planning targets for each of its administrative regions. We are in Region 10, and more on that in a moment. The intent of this TIP update is to identify needs independent of fund sources and distribute targets accordingly. There are 3 New York State DOT regions related to the NYMTC planning area. As I said, we are located within Region 10. Region 10 includes Nassau and Suffolk counties. The other regions are Region 8 and Region 11. Region 8 covers 6 counties in the Lower Hudson Valley. 3 of them are in NYMTC planning area. Region 11 covers the 5 boroughs of New York City, all of which are in NYMTC planning area. NYMTC program is fiscally constrained. Fiscal constraint has been a requirement since the passage of the Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act in 1991. Our fiscally constrained program cannot exceed resources that are reasonably expected to be available in our regional transportation plans and transportation improvement programs. To that end, our program cannot exceed the planning targets set by the state. The program is balanced against the various funding streams to ensure that resources are sufficient to cover the proposed expenses. The proposed 2023 through 2027 TIP programs include $36.9 billion worth of projects. This graph splits out the total amount by NYMTC subregion. We have New York City, or New York, Long Island, and the Lower Hudson Valley. Please note that there was a 71% increase between TIPs from $21.6 billion in the Federal Fiscal 2024 TIP to $36.9 billion in the 23 to 27 TIP. And as shown in orange, Long Island's proposed program funding is at $4.655 billion, a $400 million increase from Federal Fiscal 20 to 24. And dollar values are based on the year expenditure. This pie chart shows a breakdown of the proposed program funding in the federal fiscal 2023 to 2027 TIP by federal, state, and local dollars. As you can see, the federal portion is 40% of the total program. Again, dollar values are shown based on the year of expenditure. This slide shows the breakdown of proposed program funding by program year. As is usually the case, most of the spending happens within the first few years of the new TIP. In this case, we expect to utilize 63.3% of the total program amount by the end of federal fiscal 2024, and approximately 12.2% during each of the remaining years in the TIP. Worth noting again, dollar values are based on year of expenditure. Here we show the breakdown of the proposed program projects in the federal fiscal 23 to 27 TIP by program year. Long Island's portion of the program contains 411 program projects. In addition to publishing the TIP for public review, NYMTC must make it available in an electronically accessible format. We have the project visualization link shown here for that purpose. The link can also be found on the NYMTC website. The visualization is prepared using ArcGIS online to help the users to find projects in their area quickly. And here we have a link to the TIP documentation on the NYMTC website. The full TIP listing for the planning area is contained in this document, including not only the Long Island portion, which we are here to recommend today, but the Mid-Hudson South and the New York City portions as well. The Mid-Hudson South TCC and New York City TCC have already held their executive committee meetings to recommend their portions of the TIP on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. This slide identifies one of the requirements of the federal government and how NYMTC complies with those requirements regarding Transportation Performance Management, or TPM. The requirement states that the TIP shall include a description of the anticipated effects of the TIP toward achieving performance targets, and NYMTC has established and is using a performance-based approach to transportation decision-making to support national goals for transportation performance, and the anticipated effects of the TIP toward achieving statewide performance targets are described in the proposed federal fiscal 23 to 27 TIP. National performance goals include safety, infrastructure condition, including bridge and pavement, congestion reduction, system reliability, freight movement and economic vitality, environmental sustainability, and reduced project delays. Lastly, we have a brief overview of the TIP development timeline. We held the 30-day public review period for the TIP, which started on July 20th of 2022 and concluded at 4 p.m. on August 18th, 2022. Today, September 9th, we are holding our executive meeting to recommend the Long Island project listing on the TIP. On September 22nd, 2022, the Program Finance and Administration Committee meeting will recommend the full draft TIP for council adoption. Then on October 13th of 2022, the council meeting to adopt the TIP will be held. The TIP will then be combined with the statewide transportation improvement program for adoption by our federal partners. I hope I have highlighted aspects of our TIP development process. I will now turn the floor back over to Joe for the next item on our meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Are there any questions on the development of the Federal Fiscal 2023-2027 TIP? We will now provide a brief summary of highlights of each of the members' programs. I will begin with the Nassau County highlights, followed by the other members. The Nassau County's program includes over 35 projects that will be worth over $135 million over the next 5-year term. These projects include over $19 million in pavement projects, which supports our biannual resurfacing program, over $43 million in bridges and infrastructure, which includes a new roundabout in Brown Swamp Road, as well as a major overhaul of the Long Beach Bridge. We have over $39 million in traffic signal work, which includes modernization of our traffic signals, as well as Wi-Fi readers, Wi-Fi time travel readers, and signal optimization. Lastly, we have over $25 million for new buses. That includes about 40% of that funding for the electrified county bus fleet. Next, I'd like to invite Suffolk County up to give their program highlights.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I am Darnell Tyson, the Chief Deputy Commissioner at Suffolk County Department of Public Works. Just wanted to give a little bit of background on some of the program highlights that Suffolk County took note of. So from the top, we have bus rapid transit roadway signal enhancement items that's associated with the Route 110 BRT that's currently under design. It's approximately $30 million scheduled for final design and construction. Moving on, we have under bicycle, pedestrian multi-use. We have a project on County Road 97, which would use approximately $0.8 billion for final design. Moving on, we have under deteriorated bridge replacement and rehab. Some highlights would be County Road 85 bridge, which is $2 million. County Road 80 bridge, which is $25 million. And of course, the replacement of the Smith Point Bridge, which is $74 million. Moving on, we have under pavement resurfacing and rehab projects, County Road 51, which is out near Riverhead, about $8 million. County Road 83, which is North Ocean Avenue, $6 million. And then County Road 39, which is also out east for $2 million. Under buses and bus shelters, for the BRT system on 110, we have $6 million for shelters and another $9 million for 12 buses envisioned to operate on the Route 110 corridor. Under operating assistance for Route 110 BRT, we have $12 million of CMAQ money for the first couple of years of operation. And then finally, under purchase of battery, electric, and hybrid buses, we're anticipating $18 million for 30 hybrid buses and $22 million for 30 battery buses. And I'll turn it over now to the MTA for their update. Thank you.
Anyone from MTA?
Yes. Yes, hi, Mary,
Hello?
Mary, can you hear me? This is Catherine Corliss.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, hi. The MTA's project listings for the 23 to 27 TIP will be derived from our approved 2020 to 2024 capital program. At this time, the 2023 commitment plans are under development, and specific project information will be uploaded into the TIP once those plans have been finalized and presented to our board. The TIP currently includes the following highlights for Long Island Railroad in Federal Fiscal Year 2023. Component replacements at station platforms and buildings, elevator and escalator installation and replacement, as well as commuter parking rehabilitation. Our annual track rehabilitation and modernization has been included in the TIP, as well as bridges and tunnels rehabilitation to support operation of train services and protect line structures. The replacement of communications components, communications and signal improvements, investments in shops, yards, and employee facilities to maintain safety and a state of good repair, cyclical replacement of traction power substations and substation components, the replacement of work locomotives, and small business mentoring projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Glenn Morrell for the New York State TCC program comments.
Okay, our program includes over 90 construction projects that'll be worth over $1 billion over the 5-year TIP. The projects will include 20 pavement projects, 22 structures projects, 31 safety projects, and 9 drainage projects. Here's a breakdown of our funding for these categories. Our pavement projects, which is approximately $268 million, includes our resurfacing projects, our crack sealing projects, which follow up our resurfacing projects 3 years later, and concrete pavement repair projects. Our structures projects are about $278 million, which are bridge replacement projects, bridge repairs, overhead sign structure replacement and installation, bridge cleaning, bridge painting, and our bridge wear and length projects that handle call-outs that need immediate attention on our bridges. Our mobility projects, about $135 million. That would be our next 2 New York 347 projects. Our projects shown as our drainage projects are our preventive maintenance drainage projects and our drainage improvement projects, which are going to replace a lot of our old block catch basins that are in need of replacement because they've already exceeded their service life. Our projects shown as other include our park and ride, our bikeway graffiti removal tree trimming project, which does the maintenance on our bike paths, removes graffiti, addresses issues at our park and ride lots, and does tree trimming on various state roads. It also includes our regional wear and drain contract, which is kind of a call-out contract. Our safety projects, which is about $182 million, our safety enhancement blocks, which are in various locations, our traffic signal and lighting requirements contracts, our sign requirements contracts, and our durable pavement marking contracts. Our program highlights are our next 2 347 corridor reconstruction projects. One is from Hauppauge Road to County Route 347, which will follow up the project that's out in construction now, which is from Gibbs Road to Hauppauge. Also, the County Route 97 to Old Town Road. We also have a New York State Route 135 bridge replacement over I-495. We have a Northern State Parkway resurfacing project between Wolfville Road and New York State Route 454. And we have the 3 drainage improvement projects that I mentioned earlier, which designated to address the aging block basins on our parkways. We also have a project on the Southern State Parkway at exit 13, which is a safety project at Central Avenue, Linden Boulevard.
Thank you, Glenn. I would also like to acknowledge that Gautam Mani from FHWA is present virtually as part of this webinar. We will now move on to the public participation portion of our meeting. The main public review period for the proposed 2023-2027 TIP was held from July 20th through August 18th. Comments submitted during that period and response to those comments are available at the sign-in table. Since the public notice for this TCC executive meeting was given on August 24th, we have accepted additional comments on the project listings, which we will be formally recommending today for inclusion in the proposed TIP. Any comments received have been included in the comment package available at the sign-in table. We have set aside 15 minutes in today's agenda for formal public participation. Registered speakers will be heard on a first-come, first-served basis. If the speakers have a written version of their comments, please share them with Glenn Morrell, the TCC Secretary, for the written record of this meeting. We ask the speakers to try to limit their comments to 3 minutes. If there is a time remaining in the 15-minute period after the registered speakers have concluded, I will ask for any unregistered comments. I would ask speakers to please move to the microphone so that your statements will be audible on the meeting recording. For those who have registered to speak remotely, we will call your name when it is time to unmute and for you to unmute and speak. Do we have any registered speakers?
We do not currently have any registered speakers in person or online.
Thank you. We will now move to the action items. As we have members participating in the room and virtually, I will ask that the members state their names when making a motion, and then we will proceed in order when putting the motion to vote. When voting, we will start with Nassau County, then Suffolk County, the MTA, and finally, New York State Department of Transportation. The resolution and previous meeting synopsis we are about to act on are all available on the sign-in table and are posted on NYMTC's website on NYMTC's website on August 24th. There has been one change to resolution number NS-2022-2 since it was initially posted. This change will be explained when the resolution is introduced. The resolutions are also available to the members in your meeting packets. The first item is a synopsis of the last executive committee meeting held on August 20th, 2019. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting synopsis? Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion of the meeting synopsis? We will now vote by roll call on the voting members. Nassau County, Joe Cuomo, aye. Suffolk County,
Aye.
MTA,
Catherine Corliss, aye.
New York State Department of Transportation.
Glenn Morrell, aye.
Thank you all. The motion passes. The next action item is a resolution number NS-2022-1, which recommends the proposed project listing for Nassau and Suffolk counties to the full NYMTC Council for inclusion of the 2023-2027 TIP. I will ask Manish Shah of NYMTC's Nassau Suffolk TCC staff to introduce the resolution.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. My name is Manish Shah. I'm a senior transportation analyst for Nassau Suffolk TCC. I'm here today on behalf of the Nassau Suffolk TCC to introduce resolution number NS-2022-1 to the Executive Committee. The purpose of this resolution is to recommend the Long Island portion of the NYMTC project listing for inclusion in the Federal Fiscal Years 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program. The project listing for Nassau and Suffolk counties has been developed in accordance with federal planning regulations with the cooperation of the state, regional, and local officials, as well as public transit operators, and with the active participation of the general public. This project listing for Nassau and Suffolk counties has been publicly reviewed through a 30-day comment period for the proposed Federal Fiscal Year 2023 to 2027 and related public review meetings held virtually on August 9, 2022. We request that you recommend the Long Island portion of the NYMTC project listing for inclusion in the Federal Fiscal Year 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish. Do I have a motion to accept the resolution?
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Aye, Catherine Corliss from the MTA.
Thank you. Is there any discussion of the resolution? We will now vote by roll call the voting members. Nassau County, aye. Suffolk County,
Aye.
MTA,
Catherine Corliss, aye.
New York State DOT.
Glenn Morrell, aye.
Thank you all. The motion passes. Next action item is resolution number NS-2022-2, which recommends a change to the Nassau Suffolk Federal Functional Classification map. I will ask Ms. Shaw of NYMTC Nassau Suffolk TCC staff to introduce the resolution.
Thank you, Joe. My name is Ms. Shah. I am a Senior Transportation Analyst for the Nassau Suffolk TCC. I am here today on behalf of the Nassau Suffolk TCC to introduce resolution number NS-2022-2 to the Executive Committee. This resolution has been updated since it was first posted on August 24 to remove reference to the National Highway System. The purpose of this resolution is to recommend a change to the functional classification of post lane in the village of Ford in the town of Southampton, Suffolk County. The change in functional classification from FC19 local road to functional classification 17 urban major collector is appropriate in consideration of existing traffic volumes and functions. This request for reclassification of post lanes functional classification has been developed in accordance with federal planning regulations and with the cooperation of the state and local officials. We request that you recommend to reclassify post lanes in the town of Southampton as an urban major collector on the functional classification map for NYMTC. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish. Do I have a motion to accept the resolution?
Aye. Glenn Morrell, New York State DOT.
Thank you, Glenn. Do I have a second?
Aye, Catherine Corliss, MTA.
Thank you, Catherine. Is there any discussion of the resolution? We will now vote by roll call the voting members. Joe Paul, Nassau County, aye. Suffolk County,
Darnell Tyson? Aye.
MTA,
Catherine Corliss, aye.
New York State DOT.
Glenn Morrell, aye.
Thank you all. The motion passes. We will now turn to our final action item, the selection of a new chair for the Nassau Suffolk TCC. As per the joint TCC operating procedures, I've been informed that the TCC members have unanimously selected Suffolk County Executive Steve Malone as the next TCC chair. I would ask Suffolk County's representative to say a few words on his behalf.
Thanks, Cheryl. I believe that I can speak for Steve by saying that he is a proponent of transportation. I'm sure that he accepts this responsibility and appreciates it. And, I've just known from my time working with him that he's been a great proponent of transportation improvements, whether it be on the highway side or buses, to just improve mobility for all, 1.5 million of our residents. So I think he on his behalf.
Thank you, Darnell. The Suffolk County Executive's first duty will be to convene the next TCC executive meeting. NYMTC staff will arrange the details of the meeting and the public will be notified. Our next agenda item is new business. Do any of the committee members have any other new business to discuss? Thank you. Well, our formal agenda for today's meeting is concluded. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Aye, Catherine Corliss, MTA.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Aye, Darnell Tyson, Suffolk County.
Thank you. The meeting is concluded. Thank you all for your attendance and participation.